Let's explore the best way to begin meditation in 2024. This morning's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found of all places on Reddit. How to begin, the good-hearted person wrote, I'm absolutely new to this and I have no idea where to begin. How to begin? Not even an inkling. Dude, to know that you do not know is the beginning of wisdom. So many people begin by thinking they've already got a good beat on things, and all they are is a slave to society's preconceptions. So the fact that you don't know is A-OK. Let's begin with broad brushstrokes. We're going to explore this in two phases, the why and the how of it all. So let's begin with the why. Contrary to the ravings of many, many folks, meditation is not about manifesting. In fact, meditation and manifesting are two ends of the same spectrum. Manifesting, well, let me just jump back for a second. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but not in the fun, tingly way. Thus, it should come as little surprise that 90% of humanity is stuck in the yang of it all. But what does that mean? Before the Buddha received the nickname the Buddha, he was known by his family name Gautama. Legend tells us that Gautama had a wicked cousin named Devadatta. They called him Devadatta because it was just considered rude to call him shit for brains. So good old Devadatta thought it would be splendid to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. Specifically, to be rigid and controlling. Whereas his cousin felt the opposite. He felt that Gautama felt to be flexible, loving, rational, and laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind was the way to go. So those of us, and all of us, have had our moments of rigidity. All of us have controlling tendencies. Though deny it we may, we do. And it is those controlling tendencies that drive us to say, I want to be the all-being, the master of time, space, and dimension. Yeah, let me know how that works out for you. It doesn't work out well. Those who set out upon the path of controlling might have some short-term, superficial victories, but in the long term, they're not going to have the peace and the fulfillment we are all wired to crave. So let's explore the how of it all. Once again, neither rigidity nor controlling tendencies are our friend, though those methods are quite popular. Rather, if we want to accomplish the peace of the Buddha, as well as the love of the Buddha, we should traverse the path of the Buddha, the path of being flexible and laid back. I can't tell you how many cranky, divisive people have tried to hate themselves into the state of love. It don't work. I know. I was one of them. So it's really cool that we know that flexibility and being laid back is where it's at. But how do we get there with so much misinformation and disinformation? How do we get a good beat on things? Might I recommend neuroscience, at least a rudimentary view of this bad boy? The Buddha taught an eightfold path. The seventh fold is mindfulness, which is an excellent place to begin. Numerically irrational, but it works really, really good. So every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, We are wired by evolution to effortlessly and automatically access our sympathetic nervous system. But what's that? This thingamawhatsits is found in the middle third of our spinal cord. Yep, kind of looks like a tadpole, doesn't it? So our sympathetic nervous system is found in the middle third of our spinal cord. It has evolved not only to help us perceive, but to help us perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Can you tell that this is pretty much the opposite of being rigid and controlling? Now, vulnerability is it's not something we're really wired to enjoy. So it is exemplified archetypically by the nudity of these two figures right here. So we are wired to perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We're also wired to perceive emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. That can be really overwhelming. Fortunately, evolution has given us a solution. The key to meditation, the eightfold of the Buddha's eightfold path, is this. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, whether we mean to or not, whether we feel it or not, we are already wired to effortlessly access our parasympathetic nervous system. But where's that? It's located in the bottom third and the upper third of that exact same spinal cord. How convenient is that? This bad boy has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Now, here's a really intelligent question. If we're already wired for mindfulness and meditation, then what's the hubbub, bub? Why do we got to sit down on a hard floor for 5 minutes or so every 12 hours? Glad you asked. May I introduce you to our own personal Urkel. This three-ring shit show, this Borg circus of organelles, just can't go 5 minutes without stepping on its own dick. But when we give, but just like Urkel, our brain is as clever as it is good-hearted. And we ask our brain to silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation. All of a sudden, it'll begin to effortlessly cooperate with the sympathetic nervous system. Similarly, when we ask it to silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, it begins to cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system. And so, this is going to be really insulting for the people who are into self-importance and showing off, but this simple method of silently, mentally, and passively playing with these two words in harmony with our breathing gives us effortless and automatic access to the perception and release that is the essence of mindfulness meditation. This is the key that opens the door to the peace and the joy and the love and the resilience and the fulfillment that we're wired to long for. Any shedhead can prance about the countryside insisting that this path is difficult, arduous, and that it takes an insane length of time. Those are the people you should not get instructions from, because they're basically saying, my shit don't work. But the Buddha didn't teach that. In the second to the final passage of the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha promised that it's possible to master his path in less than 7 years, or 7 quarters, or 7 months, or 7 fortnights, or 7 weeks, or even 7 days. How cool is that? Now, I'm going to splash you in the face with some cold water. Most of us were not raised in Iron Age North India. Most of us were not raised sitting comfortably on the floor or counting upon the creases of our fingers. Therefore, you and I and most everybody else are kind of behind the 8 ball, but that's an easy fix. Check this out. Once you learn how to sit comfortably and sustainably, if you sit for 5 minutes every 12 hours or so the first week, then by the second week, you'll probably be raring to go for 10 minutes every 12 hours. By the third week, you'll be ready to go for 15 minutes every 12 hours. Do you notice a pattern here? By the conclusion of the 15th week, that's less than 4 months. Sitting for 75 minutes, sitting for a 15-minute lesson in a 60-minute class every 12 hours could be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Whether your time zone is in coordination with my time zone and you can attend for live on YouTube, or you just relying on YouTube's habit of saving my live streams, this could benefit you. You could have a Lama on tap who can answer your questions about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, and their application. You could master the path in less than 16 weeks. But what does it mean to master the path? It doesn't mean you stop feeling normal human emotions or sensations or perceptions or intentions or thoughts or memories or imaginings. It means simply that you've mastered the techniques of the Eightfold Path. As a child, I found tying my shoes to be daunting. However, after much time and effort and tears and repeat instructions, eventually I got so good at tying my shoes that I could do so spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. And that is all that mastery is. Whether it's mastery of tying your shoes, or riding a bike, or making love, or practicing the Buddhist path. These are skills that can be mastered. If someone tells you these are special skills for special people that must be kept secret, remind them that as the Buddha lay dying, he explained, I have taught with an outstretched arm and an open hand, keeping no secrets. If someone's keeping secrets, man, they got a small penis and an even smaller brain, because they done missed the boat. Buddhist path is easy, it's egalitarian, it's for anybody who wants it. Where's the button that I'm looking for? I do look forward to chanting and meditating with you this morning together as a team after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. This morning, I think it could be great fun. We played with the latest iteration of Diamond Mind's Easy Meditation. And no, since we're not in the path of rigidity and control, we do not have to view Diamond Mind as an entity to be supplicated or worshipped. And instead, we can simply view Diamond Mind as an archetype to help us in our training upon the Buddha's path. first things first. Please chant with me. Rather than indulge or controlling tendencies with our follies of active visualization, emotion, magic, and belief, we could just recite these kind words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Let us sidestep the rigidity that confuses metaphors for statements literal, and relax into the flexibility that savors the chance explaining metaphors as similes. L'chaim. Note to self, breathe air, drink water. Okay, let's review the meaning of this 6-syllable mantra. Please chant with me. I invoke the mastery of love and letting go that can add benza diamond strength to a simple mind. Who may all beings enjoy such mastery. Now let us bring Lama figurative practice of calling the teacher as from far into energy work's path of bliss and letting go. That's right, kids, you can feel bliss with your pants on. Please chant with me. Let us invite real Take 2. Let us invite real imagined Guru Samanta Bhadra to the crown of our head. That in the union of bliss and letting go we may drain. So we're going to take all these words and compress them down to just 6 syllables that we're going to divide between our inhalation and our exhalation. So let us silently, mentally, and passively recite these words in harmony with our breathing. But how does this apply to mantra meditation? Simple. During our inhalation, we recite the same 6 syllables. During our exhalation, we physically relax as best we can, while striving to chant these 6 syllables 8 times per breath. And please, if this is your first time hanging out with me, please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Okay, here we go. Om benza zatu hung benza zatu hung 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 Om benza zatu hung benza zatu hung. Whoops. And now, just like you might, when standing on a skateboard, you might pump with one leg and get some momentum going, and then you coast. Similarly, right now, let us bring whatever we spontaneously notice into the path of awareness and release, just like we discussed in the opening lesson. And while we inhale, as silently, mentally, and passively we recite the demonstrative pronoun this, we can kick back and watch the antics of our mind as it perceives, emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines. As we exhale, while we silently, mentally, and passively recite the one syllable verb is, we can relax into mind's non-graspable nature. This exercise or I should say, this set of exercises that we just practiced are ideal when we are having a meltdown. Welcome to this morning's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. And when YouTube finally sends it to me, I'll be happy to answer your question for you. Together as a team, let us meditate as profoundly Now let us view letting go through a philosophical lens as we bring the illusion, the horizontal duality of us and them, into the dance of impermanence and interdependence known as Madhyamaka's yoga of inconceivability. Please chant with me. All visible circumstances or lots could be as impermanent and interdependent as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this body or form. Let us unpack this. Number one. We can use the verb melt as a metaphor of impermanence, and we can use the verb absorb as a metaphor of interdependence. You know, like butter melting into a hot waffle. Grandma's hot waffle. Notice instead of using the rigid verb is, we're using the soft verb could be, which is important. We're not trying to shove things down your throat, but play with possibilities. One thing that's very ironic is that we are using our self-centered tendencies to transcend our self-centered tendencies by pretending or playing with the idea that things could be absorbing into our body or our speech or our mind. These are not things to actively visualize or rigidly believe, but simply words and ideas to play with. So we're going to take all these words, and this is going to be a pattern. We're going to take all these words and squish them down into just 6 syllables, 3 of which we play with during our inhalation, 3 of which during our exhalation. We are going to play with these words silently, mentally, and passively. Any good author knows not only of the music of language, but of the magic of words that when recited silently or mentally, passively, and even mindlessly can create a falling domino-like series of events within our central nervous system. So we're going to take these exact same 6 syllables, and we're going to recite them during our inhalation. During our exhalation, again, we're going to physically relax as best we can while striving to chant these 6 syllables 8 times per breath. And please, if this is new to you, give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Om benza zato hungo benza zato hung. 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 All sensual bodies or forms could be as impermanent and interdependent as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this communicational speech. Om Benza Saduhung, 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 Om Benza Saduhung. All resounding into a personal speech could be as impermanent and interdependent. All resounding into personal communication or speech could be as impermanent and interdependent as if it could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this awareness or mind. Om Benza Saduhung, 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 Om Benza Saduhung. All lucid minds could be as impermanent and interdependent as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into our vast empty void. Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although tantalizing to the eye could be not graspable to the hand. Om Benza Saduhung, 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 Om Benza Saduhung. Again, let us bring whatever we spontaneously notice into the path of awareness and release. As we inhale, while we silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this, we can kick back, and watch the antics of mind as it perceives, emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines. As we exhale, while we passively, silently, and mentally recite the one syllable verb is, we can actually relax into mind's non-graspable nature. Now let us bring the four bases of mindfulness into the conventional practice of love and release, where it is love that is emphasized. May all clear minds of all beings know be as peacefully enlightened as the mind of a real or imagined Buddha symbolized by a tikle one suitable seed or bija mantra. Om Benza Sato Hum Benza Sato Hum Om Benza Sato Hum Benza Sato Hum Om Benza Sato Hum Benza Sato Hum Om Benza Sato Hum Benza Sato Hum. May all relationships, all speech of all beings know be as joyfully loving as a real or imagined Buddha speech symbolized by your horizontal mala mantra. Mantra love for all speech. Let's try this again. Om Benza Sato Hum Benza Sato Hum Om 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 Benza Sato Hum. May all bodies or forms of all beings know and enjoy the beautiful health seen in Buddha's statuary, depicting the blissful body of a real or imagined Yodama, an archetype of enlightenment such as Dorje Sempa. Om Benza Sato Hum 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 Om Benza Sato Hum. May all circumstances, all lots of all beings know how the good fortune or boon as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land of Vati. Om Benza Sato Hum 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 Om Benza Sato Hum. Again, let us bring whatever we spontaneously notice into the path of awareness and release. Good morning, and welcome to the final quarter of this morning's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, please type your question in great detail in the chat window. And when YouTube gets around to sharing it with me, I'll be happy to answer it for you. That's weird. Let's go over here. Together, let us bring the 4 bases of mindfulness into the ultimate practice of love and release, where it is release that is emphasized. As we relax into our exhalation, all perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection or imagination that we clearly notice during our inhalation could feel as non-graspable or what is a Buddha's real or imagined syllable or beach of light. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take all these words and squish them down to just 8 syllables, 4 of which we'll recite during our inhalation and 4 of which during our exhalation. We shall recite them silently, mentally, and passively. We're going to take these same 8 syllables and recite them during our inhalation. During our exhalation, we can physically relax as best we can while striving to chant these 6 syllables 8 times per breath. And please, give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Om benza zato hung, benza zato hung, om benza zato hung, benza zato hung, om benza zato hung, benza zato hung, om benza zato hung, benza zato hung. As we relax into our exhalation, all resounding communication, all speech that we perceive during our inhalation could feel as non-graspable or what is a Buddha's real or imagined communication or mantra of light. Om benza zato hung, benza zato hung, om benza zato hung, benza zato hung, om benza zato hung, benza zato hung, om benza zato hung, benza zato hung. As we relax into our exhalation, all sensual bodies or forms that we perceive during our inhalation could feel as non-graspable or what is an archetype of enlightenment or yidam of light. Om benza zato hung, benza zato hung, om benza zato hung, benza zato hung, om benza zato hung, benza zato hung, om benza zato hung, benza zato hung. As we relax into our exhalation, all appearing circumstances or thoughts that we perceive during our inhalation could feel as non-graspable of what is abud is real or imagined paradise, pure land of hati of light. Aha. Whoops. That is what the big kids call a typographical error. Om benzazaduhum, 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 om benzazaduhum. We come to this morning's second to final meditation, wherein we bring whatever we spontaneously notice into the path of awareness and release. As we inhale, while silently, mentally, and passively reciting the demonstrative pronoun this, we could kick back and watch the antics of our mind as it perceives, emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines. As we exhale, while silently, mentally, and passively reciting the one-syllable verb ease, we can relax into this exact same mind's non-graspable nature. Please chant with me. In our compassion may we long to free all beings from the toxic tyranny of ever. Hating, craving, and clinging, metaphorically known as the three mental poisons. In all pragmatism may our liberation of all others be fueled by our reliance on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students, described by the metaphor of the three wish-fulfilling jewels. So, having sat with me for approximately 75 minutes, you might find it refreshing to join me for 7 or so repetitions of Tibetan-style Buddha bowing, which is a rather efficient form of whole-body calisthenics. May we free all through thee. Three jewels. 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 Whew. And now let us rest in awareness and release. Let us seal this morning's practice by chanting love and letting go's wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. May all minds of all beings lucid yet void now be as enlightened as a Buddha's mind symbolized by a one-syllable bijam. May all speech of all beings resounding yet void now be as loving as a Buddha's speech symbolized by a multi-syllable mantra. May all forms of all beings untruthful yet void now be as healthy as a Dharma type depicted in Buddhist statuary. May all lots of all beings appearing yet void now be as fortunate as a pure land of law represented in Buddhist paintings. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.